Okay, great. So welcome everyone. I'm Christine Mercer, and Karen's going to wave because she's Karen Davis. We are the founders of Backgammon Winning Women, and it so happens that both of us work with ZZ, who's here today, one of the top 5 backgammon players in the world. Thanks for being here, ZZ, and talking to us about the doubling cube. But I wanted to, as a student and mentee of ZZ, I wanted to tell you the 2 takeaways that ZZ's brought to me. And the first one is that his philosophy is always based on what's going to happen next and what do you want to happen next. And it's really allowed me to begin. I'm an intermediate player, way in the intermediate level. And it's really helped me to be able to slow my play down, to ask myself the questions that when I'm not sure of the next move, it helps me choose which one I want it to be. It's changed my game tremendously, and I'm truly grateful for that. So when I think of ZZ's positioning on backgammon, it would be that he's always thinking ahead. He's never necessarily just in this moment. And I think it's changed my game. And I haven't read about that a lot from anywhere else. Karen, is there one thing you want to share that ZZ's brought to your game?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's what does the future look like under alternative decisions? And what is the magnitude of the shift in your game, which as an economist, we think of as reward versus risk. But he has a neat way of helping you think about that, not so much numerically, mathematically, as in terms of how good you feel about your game under different scenarios.
Well said. That's why Karen's at the level she's at. So we both enjoyed working with him. The other thing is I love ZZ because he's fun and he's able to not take it quite as seriously either. So I don't know who that is. That's not you, ZZ, is it?
That's not me, no.
Okay, whoever's just shared their screen, please take yourself out. I don't know how to do that.
So Philippe, if you could stop sharing, that would be great. Thank you. You should see a button to click up at the top of your screen.
Philippe,
maybe under.
Yeah, no, you've got to, yeah, nobody should be able to
maybe I'll just start sharing, so it's going to be easier.
Yeah, but we don't want that screen behind that in there. So Philippe, yeah. We're going to have to, unfortunately, we'll have to take you out and you'll have to come back in again. So if you could fix that, that would be great. How do you know it's Philippe, Karen?
Because at the top of my screen, it says, I'm viewing Philippe Solnave's screen.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we're going to have to. Hold on 1 second, please. We're going to remove it. Okay. Okay, that should take it out. Great. Okay. All right, so I wanted to start. ZZ's focus today is going to be on the doubling cube, but I had a couple of questions for him. We were talking earlier before everybody came in about there was no doubling cube at the beginning of the 20th century. And there were a lot of industrialists in America that were beginning to find backgammon boring because all they could do is play for 1 point per game. So what did they do? They entered the doubling cube so they could make money, at which point it took off in the industrial area in the beginning of the 20th century. So my first question for ZZ, who you enjoy a good gamble, right? ZZ, you like a good gamble. If everybody could please mute themselves, that would be very helpful. How do you feel about that in terms of the gambling aspect? And what is your thought around the entrance of the doubling cube to the game itself?
So thank you, Christine, for introducing me. Well, who doesn't enjoy a good gamble, right? Well, I think when I started playing the game, I was 5 years old. So we had no idea about the cube, but we got it introduced pretty fast. And even though we didn't know the rules, we knew the rules, but we didn't know how to use it, like how to correctly use it in certain positions. It was like very, very fun aspect, which was brought to us because yes, cube is just giving the game something special, something which is exciting, which has adrenaline inside, because you can just turn the game, you can win 8 games in a row, but then you can just lose a big one and it's all back. So that's why the cube is interesting, and I enjoy the cube very much, and I find it as a very, very important and one of the most complex part of the game.
Okay, and Zizi, when we're talking about the cube, how much of your brain power during a match is on the cube?
So it's all connected, right? It's important to point out that it's like all connected. So by understanding the position, by understanding what's going on, by what I like to call the mindset of everything, mindset of backgammon, what you want to have, it's just connected. So it's like, it's not like I have a mind on the cube and I don't have mind on checkers, or the opposite. It just, when you are in the game, when you are in the mindset, you just got covered both, and you want to always know what to think about, how to think about the game, and where are you at. That's why I want to, that's when you said that like to look into the future. It's good to look into the future, because when you know what to expect, when you know what's going to happen, well, you can very easily prepare for it. So the only important thing is to be realistic, to see the position realistically, and that's how you just will play your best.
Okay, so take it away and let's hear your presentation. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you very much. All right, let me share somehow. All right, so let me see if you...
Oh, wait, I have one other thing. If you have a question, please put it in the comments, and Karen and I will be monitoring the comments, and we will definitely make sure your question's put in front of Zizi. So we'll take, everybody can go off mute at the end, but during the presentation, we'd appreciate the questions being asked in the comments section.
Thank you very much. So first of all, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Today, I will talk about cube action mindset. Cube action is one of the most complex topics what there can be, because cube, I mean, we can talk about cube in hours, right? But today, we will want to talk, and I will want from you to go out from here with one specific thing. We will talk about blitz positions, volatile positions, and scary positions. So we will cover this topic, and once we are done with this seminar, you will always be confident in these positions, because you will always know what to search for, what to do. And even though blitz positions are scary positions, where you are under attack, you will know with your brain how to decide, what to look for, and what is the key in those positions to look at. So before we can look into practical examples, we need some little guidance. Again, I will not go into big depth of some things what we should know before, but I will cover a little part. So what we can talk about the cube, we can talk about what does the cube represent, when do we use the cube, how do we use the cube. Again, as mentioned, there's just so many things, right? There is live cube versus dead cube. There is access to the cube. There are so many things, but again, first, what we want to know are some paradoxes first. So this probably will not surprise you, but let's have a look at this position or this example. This position is a last row position when we are favorites, right? Why we need to cube? Well, we need to double this position because, well, we are favorites and it's definitely a last row position. What does that mean? Well, that means that if you are flipping a coin and you got one side with a little bit edge on it, the more you would flip the coin, the more you would be playing this position, the more money you would be winning, right? Because, well, if you bet $100, you will be winning 52 you will win, and 47 times you will lose. Therefore, you will just win money. So you always want to double this stake. But that's not why I'm showing this position. I'm showing this position with one specific reason what I want to show you. This position, we've got 52%, and this is a cube. Well, I can show you a position in backgammon. This is what makes it interesting, because there's so much behind to understand. Here I can show you when we've got 72%, and we can see it's kind of a sizable no double. So what I'm trying to point out, first of all, you can just forget these positions because they are not important. They are just, I just want to make one simple point. Backgammon is so complex that you never want to look at the percentages. If somebody tells you that you've got 60% chance to win, 20% to win the gammon, well, what does that tell you? Nothing. This can be a double, this can be a no double, this can be anything. The only important thing is to correctly analyze what is going to happen in the position. So why would this be a no double? Well, now this is what we will start with. Basically, we've got no reason to double this position. Why is that? Well, even if we jump out of this prime, right, that's what's happening in the next row. If we jump out of the prime, we didn't lose our market loser because our opponent will still have a take. So, well, so we roll 5-1, and then we can, let's say, cube or so. But we've got bad things what can happen to us. So we've got reasons why not to cube. So how to summarize this thing or this knowledge, basically? When we are deciding whether to cube or not, we want to be looking for the market losers, of course. You probably heard about them. Market loser is a sequence where it will become from a take to a pass. Those are what I call reasons to cube. Okay, the more reasons to double we have, the more likely we want to cube. Second thing, what we want to look at is how big of the market losers are. For example, in this position before, if we roll 5-2, we win the game. Therefore, it would just be enormous pass, right? Because, well, we would just be 100% to win. So we've got way more reasons to cube, and they are huge, versus like anti-market losers, where we would lose the game. So here we've got 0, except maybe double 6, 0 reasons to cube. But if we have a certain look, if we roll double 3 or a few times 3-2 in a row, double 2, well, we really have reasons not to cube, right? So we've got 0 reasons to cube and few reasons not to cube. Therefore, there's just no point in cubing this one, as we can see. But now, what we will be looking at are blitz positions. First, I'd like to introduce them, what they really are. Well, blitz positions are scary positions where one player is usually attacking the other while the player doesn't have the anchor. So these are types of positions what we will talk about. Before we, again, look at the practical examples, we will look at the boring theory. If you don't understand anything from the take story or pass story regarding the theory now, don't worry, as we will come back to it. We just need to somehow state it, what it means. So I came up with something, what is called take story and the pass story. When do these occur? As mentioned, these are going to happen in blitz positions, volatile positions, and scary positions. Basically, one of the most scary things to do, right? I mean, even though sometimes in the backgammon, you feel you should take the cube, it just feels so scary that you just pass for some reason. So I want to give you the confidence that even though when it will look scary, you will be able to take, because you will have the confidence that that's the right idea. So what we will be actually doing, we will be analyzing our game. Again, we will be looking realistically where we are at, and we will need to define few things. We will be defining whether, if we get lucky, whether we will have a great game, so when we get lucky, our goal is to have a great game, right? Like when you get lucky, you want to get rewarded. So that's gonna be, of course, great thing. That's gonna be a good thing. If you somehow ever get lucky and you will still not feel well, that's not a good sign, right? So this is gonna be a first thing what we will be defining. First sign, therefore, of the take story is that once we get lucky, we have a great game. On the other hand, part of the pass story will be that If we get lucky, we basically just stayed in the game. We are not even really happy. So that's going to be first step, what we will be defining. Second step, what's going to happen if we get unlucky? Do we still have some backdoor chances? Let's say we are in the bar and somehow we will not enter. So the question will be, do we have some backdoor chances still? Which is, of course, good. Like if we get unlucky, we still want to have another chance, right? Or is it going to be part of the past story where if we get unlucky, we are absolutely crushed and we are about to lose the gammon? Now, these are going to be two biggest questions what we will go through. Now, again, good thing is that so far what I've said, it should sound clear. It should sound like, okay, that's obvious, right? Well, let's put it into practice and let's see how it actually works in dangerous positions, okay? Again, some of them will be easier, some of them will be more difficult. We want to explain everything. We want to see all kinds of scary positions, blitz positions. So here we've got the first position. Somehow I would like to ask the audience, I just don't know how to do that. Oops. So what would you think about this position? I don't know if somebody, I don't know, can raise the hand or just somebody, anybody has an opinion on this position? Would you take this cube? Would you cube? Would you pass this position?
Well, who's giving it?
Oh yeah, so blue is on the roll, blue is cubing, right? So should white take or should white pass? Well, there's like 60 people here, so it's gonna be difficult to speak. So, oh, there's something in the chat. Well, okay, I take, okay, great. So yeah, so good. Oh, this is gonna be a good thing. So chat is good. So yeah, so this looks like a simple take and I can confirm that it is. So let's just on an obvious position explain what we've just talked about, right? First thing is what we can expect. What's going to happen if blue gets lucky? Well, first we can expect something from blue, right? When you look at this position, what can we expect from blue? We can expect that he is either going to make the 5-point, 4-point, maybe make a 3-point on our head. That's just what's going to happen, right? There's nothing surprising. We just know that something like that is going to happen, right? That's like most common thing what will be there. And now, if white gets lucky, first we have to define what it means. Does he have a great game or did he just stay in the game? If white gets unlucky, is he like suddenly losing the gammon or will he have another chance? Now, let's answer these two questions and we will come up white's take. So let's say blue rolls 3-2, right? If white enters, which he probably will, he just suddenly has a game, right? I mean, he will have an anchor. Blue will have so much work to do. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great for white. Therefore, he's got a great game. First sign of a take story. What would happen if white would get unlucky? So again, blue rolls something like 3-2 or 2-1, whatever, and white dances. If white dances, obviously he's not happy, but like we can see that he's far from losing the game or losing the gammon. He still has some backdoor chances. He is still able to come in next roll, and he is not under the huge pressure immediately if he gets unlucky. Therefore, this is, Therefore, this is a take story, and therefore, as you correctly point out, this is a big take. So glad that this is like on this like easy position, let's say, we can say that it's a take. Now, by the way, in all these blitz positions, scary positions and volatile positions, those are gonna be cubes. And I will mention this for all of them, what we will have. You don't want to miss the cube. When you are a favorite, when you are doing great, when you can destroy, annihilate your opponent, you want to turn the cube. Here, as long as you see some sequences where your game can just go well, you've got so many reasons to cube, and they are so huge, right? So look at it. So once again, just to review this important thing, as we mentioned, when we are deciding whether to cube or not, we are finding reasons to cube versus reasons why not to cube, right?
And Zizi, we've got a question here from Art
Yeah.
Benjamin. When you
Yeah.
say great game for white, what do you mean? Solid take, not a double for black? Was double wrong, you know? So can you walk through that a bit?
Sure. Good question. So a great game is something what I will be trying to define for you in the next following position. Great game is like, it's what I'm trying to basically give you is what kind of feeling you should have. So great game means like you should definitely, it should be like a great take right afterwards. Like you don't want to be on the border take or pass. Great game should mean that you feel happy about the position. You know that it's like an easy take afterwards if the cube was given, and you feel strongly about the position.
All right, we have another question too about the strength of white's board. Doesn't that factor into the cube decision?
So definitely it does, and it's basically part of the thing, right? Like how we perceive. That's why I focus so much on the feeling and not the, as you could see, I didn't explain anything like in mathematics, from mathematics point of view, right? Everything was the feeling. So you want to gain that feeling, and definitely part of our board is gonna be there, right? Because if we didn't have the board, it's gonna be terrible for us, because even like if we get lucky and enter, we will still not feel well. So yes, so good point, good question, and yes, indeed.
Okay, one more, and this is for me. Zizi and I go back and forth like this in my sessions with him all the time. Zizi, this looks like a disaster to me. If you, I don't think this is great for white. If I'm white, I want out. I just want to take my loss of one and leave, which you would yell at me for. I understand that. But the point around that for me is, what if you hit the second guy? You're definitely going to hit one. I think you're going to pick to hit one way or another, right? And what if I don't get in? Then I'm in a really, really bad position, because you're just going to keep annihilating me, which is one of your favorite words. You're going to keep annihilating me. And so my gut as an early intermediate player is, I just want to take my hit and go.
This is exactly what I understand. Thank you for the question. From like intermediate point of view, or generally when you are like new to these positions and you are scared of all of them, I would really suggest to take your time and look at it realistically. Because what you're saying that you're gonna get like annihilated always, that's never gonna happen. Because yes, you will get a hit. Yes, your opponent will make a point, but white will most of the time always enter, most of the time always anchor in one or two rows. And that's the point, that's the thing what you want to see in this position. So so my suggestion is, if somebody doesn't see this in the position currently, it's good to take 5 minutes of the position and just go through the things what's going to happen. And you will see that this is actually viewing the position realistically. You will always make the anchor, so you don't have to be scared. And that's part of the reason why it's a take. So I hope this is good, and maybe other positions will be, well, it will give us, well, so first, so this is, okay. Again, I will ask before I say anything. So what do you think about this position? Take or pass? If you write it to the chat, it will be great. I'm very interested in what you're gonna say in this one. We'll just keep it on like this. Meanwhile, while you can write whether this is a take or a pass, I will let you think about it, but I will talk. As mentioned, we are looking for the reasons when to cube versus when not to cube. In blitz positions, you can annihilate your opponent, and you can basically lose your market loser by a sizable margin, which means you've got huge reasons to cube. And usually, generally speaking, even if it goes wrong, it doesn't go wrong by much. When it goes wrong, it usually means that opponent somehow hits you, so he slows you down, or it means that he anchors, which means usually you still stay a favorite. So that's why, generally speaking, blitz positions, when you can annihilate your opponent, you never want to be missing the cube. And we see that we've got a take, so I'm happy about the take. Yes, so This position, I think I played it a long time ago, and it felt super scary. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this is like very scary position. But again, let's look at what's gonna happen. What can we expect from blue? And again, let's just focus on defining those two things. When white gets lucky, so when white gets lucky and when he gets unlucky, right? So what we need to know, what we need to define. When white gets lucky, we need to define what getting lucky means, and we need to define what kind of position he's going to be in. Here, if we are focusing on how can white get lucky, white can get lucky and feel very good if blue doesn't make another additional point, which means all ones and some fours, right? Like 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, something like 4-2, okay? Those numbers don't make a point. In that moment, white, what kind of game does white have? Well, if blue doesn't make another point immediately, well, white has so much power in the roll, he can just threaten the blue immediately. Generally speaking, that means he's got a good game, right? He's got a good game going on. So that's, again, that's a good sign, right? Good sign for the take. What's going to happen if blue makes a point? Something like, again, 3-2. If blue rolls 3-2, that means that white got a little bit unlucky. But again, white's got backdoor chances. Like anytime white enters, and it doesn't even have to be now, white will have a huge game. Every time white enters and somehow escapes, which is not that hard because white's got just 2, 3, or 4 attempts to do so, white will have a nice game. Again, this is all part of the take story. So this is another take, even though this looks scary, and it's actually a huge take. Pass story, how would it sound like? We will see in a moment. Again, let's look at another position so we can just live it, so we can just go through it fast. What's happening here? Well, what can we expect from blue? We can expect that blue will either hit or blue will attack the 4-point or make the ace point, right? What we are going to focus on is white's roll, because that's all what's important in blitz positions, right? How powerful is our roll as white? If white anchors, and he's going to have so many opportunities to do so, again, he's got a huge game. I mean, huge game, great game. You can find your own vocabulary. But once white makes the anchor, and he's going to have that opportunity in his roll, he's going to have a great game. What if white gets unlucky? If white gets unlucky, he's definitely going to have second chance to have the powerful roll, because blue cannot manage everything. Blue's got still so much work to do, either from escaping, covering, hitting. So again, like before, if white gets lucky, he's got a great game immediately. If white doesn't get lucky, then, well, he will have at least one more chance to get a good game. So he's got backdoor chances. So again, we can see this is a double take, even though it's a very scary position. Now we're going to change the subject and we're going to put the take story aside. What's happening here? And now let's see the difference, what's going on. What can we expect from blue here? We can expect that blue will cover, right? We can expect that blue will cover the 5-point. Once he covers, now let's ask the question now. If white enters, okay, that's kind of good, but he's still gonna be under attack, right? So let's just imagine that blue covers. Even if white enters, he's gonna be still under the gun. He's gonna be still in kind of a trouble. He just stayed in the game. He is still in danger. And second question, what's going to happen if white doesn't enter? What's going to happen if white gets unlucky and dances? So, well, then it's a huge problem. then it's a huge problem for white, and he's gonna be losing gammon very often. So this is the difference. This is the difference in feeling what you want to have between a take story and a pass story. As this position is a pass. Okay. So I'm gonna give you this one. Again, I'll open chat if somebody wants to comment whether this is a take or a pass. So blue is on the roll. Blue is turning the cube. Would you take this dangerously looking position as white or not? So we got one take so far. This is another take. Okay. So I will talk a little bit about it. So what do you think that's going to happen? I would like to, if somebody could, I don't know, respond again. I know that it's not convenient to speak in front of like 60 people, but if somebody wants to try out, and maybe I will just adjust the thinking and edit. Yeah, Merin?
So I would take this quite easily, I think, because first of all, white has their own 5-point and decent builders for their own inner board. So as soon as they come in, they're quite strong, I think, in terms of being able to develop their own board. And secondly, blue's really stiff. So like in their outfield, they've got 2 strict points and not like to build in their own inner board. They'll have to be quite lucky in terms of the combinations. So I feel like white got plenty of time to come in and then decent attacking chances.
Okay, thank you. So let me ask you a question. What do you expect from blue too? Because you mentioned that blue looks stiff, right? And that he's got like straight points. As long as I agree with that, I want to ask you, what do you expect that blue will do? What do you expect that will happen? Because blue is on the roll. So we want to start with what will blue do, right? So what will blue do?
Who's gonna hit?
Yeah, blue's gonna hit, right? And
if they can, yeah.
We agree, Marin, right, as well. So blue is probably most likely gonna hit. And now, if we should try whether it's a take story or a pass story, if white gets lucky, that means that how would you define that white will get lucky? What would be your definition of white getting lucky in the next roll?
Blue's probably got quite a lot of bad rolls that are going to leave blots around the place. Like things like 5-1 is going to be quite ugly. Even like 5-3 and things like that, because you've already made your own 3-point.
Okay.
So I think there's probably a lot of rolls that are going to leave blots for blue. And therefore, if white enters, which they're favourite to do, then they can potentially go straight back on the attack.
So as long as you are right, because yes, indeed, there are few bad rolls for blue as well right now, right? That he can leave blots like 5-1, 5-3. As long as I agree, that means that white will just get very lucky, right? If blue basically doesn't hit or doesn't do anything. The problem is white just will get very lucky if blue rolls, let's say 5-3. But the problem is white is still in a very, very bad shape. What I'm trying to say is as long as white doesn't roll one specific number, and that's either anchoring if we missed, or as we expect, we're going to hit on the 4-point, right? So as long as white doesn't roll a 4 and hit us back, he's in huge trouble. And he's in huge trouble immediately. And that's the problem. So that's why I would say that this is going to be actually pass story based on this.
Wow.
Yeah. So as long what I would suggest, because you are saying some good points, but what is important to focus on, what it really means defining what is lucky and unlucky. Because first, what to start is what we can expect. We can expect that white will get hit. And now there are only 2 questions. What if white gets lucky and hits? He's just staying in the game. He's barely alive. If white doesn't roll a 4, he's under huge pressure and he's losing the game. Is this good? Is this clear? Or would you like to add something to this, which is still maybe not clear?
But you know how you're always talking about how do you feel when you see this?
Mhm.
Okay, when I look at the last board you had up versus this board, they both felt pretty much the same to me. The white sitting up on the bar shows a vulnerability that makes me afraid to take. And then here it is, the same kind of situation, and you're saying it's a pass. If you're an intermediate player that doesn't run the numbers quite like you do, I think it's a harder thing to realize, you know? I mean, is there a tip that goes along with the difference between the last one and this one that can be helpful?
So first of all, blitz positions are very complex. So yes, I can understand it's basically very difficult to just proceed, and we cannot basically change it like from 0 to 100 immediately. But I would like to give everyone like the right concept and start to get the right feeling what to get to. So in all these positions, somebody will be on the bar. What is up onto us is to decide and realize how dangerous it will be. Will we have backdoor chances? Will we have second chances? In this position, no. In this position, yes, a lot. And that's the thing what we either want to experience, what we want to start feeling, and what we want to start analyzing. And it's all in the part of the take story or a pass story.
So but Lewis is saying that he thinks the gammon possibilities seem very high here, 38%. So that's got to factor into it. And secondly, the cube, Alan's saying that that's a good point. The cube is live. What is the match score? And is it necessary to recube now is the next question. Would you recube immediately?
So first, all the positions are basically money games or like 0-0, like normal scores. That's when we are focusing on. We are not adjusting to any scores. That's like the second subject what we could do. So yes, gammons are very high, right? And again, it comes from the feeling that that's very likely what's going to happen, because white will not have a great game. White has just one attempt to roll a 4 and either hit us or enter. If he doesn't do that, he's most likely going to lose the gammon. So I agree, because that gammons are very high. That's because that's the part of the pass story, how we feel about the position. That it just, I mean, unless white rolls well in the next roll, he's about to lose the gammon, most likely. Then there was a question, if it's necessary to recube now, well, definitely we need to recube now, because as mentioned, it's a blitz volatile position. We've got power in the roll. Well, there's nothing to wait on, and we always want to double these chances when we are feeling good.
And then we have another question about approaching it from a 3 prep position, race, and threats. It seems to meet all 3.
So as long as I started like 10 years ago with Brad, I'd like to basically, honestly, I don't like this system, because it's somehow misunderstand basically everything, and it doesn't tell you what's going to happen. You don't know what to expect. So as long as on that position it worked, there's like thousands of positions when it doesn't work. For example, as we had this one. If I look at the race here, for example, we definitely got the race. Who's got better position? Blue's got definitely better position. Threats, well, white is under huge pressure, so there are threats as well. So here it would be 3 out of 3 things, which would by Pratt mean a big pass, but this is actually a big take. So that's why I actually don't use Pratt, and I don't think it's a good way to learn basically the cube action, because it will give you what I think it will give you like the bad way or wrong way, that you will not be open to other things which basically will make sense, if this made sense. So yeah. All right, so I skipped to another thing, but so far what we've had were big takes or big passes. Now I want to show you how some like borderline thing look like. So we define take story and a pass story. What would we think about this one? So what can we expect here? I would define getting lucky or getting unlucky here, well, depending on if blue hits. So blue is on the roll, blue is definitely cubing. So what does it mean if blue gets lucky? If blue gets lucky, I can imagine that he's gonna roll 4 and hit, right? If blue rolls a 4, if blue gets lucky and hits, well, as white, I definitely don't feel well. I could feel once I enter, I will have some backdoor chances, even though I will not be in a great position. I will feel that I got some chance and I'm not really losing the gammon, even though I get unlucky. If we will get lucky as white, which means we will get missed, well, we are not that feeling great again, right? I mean, we will still have so much work to do. So these are like balanced things. Like we cannot really say whether it's a take story 100% or whether it's a pass story 100%. We are somehow in the middle. And again, this is how result will always show up as well. We can see that this is basically a borderline between these things. It's not clear what this is. And it's beautiful because our feelings, whether we get lucky or whether we get unlucky, this is perfectly defining it. Maybe if you are hearing this for the first time, it may seem a little bit confusing and a little bit like, I mean, if you didn't experience like more positions, if you didn't start learning with this way yet, then, well, it may be a little bit hard. But I can guarantee you, once you start experiencing them, trying to say and trying to realistically see what's going to happen, you will definitely always find nice balance. You will always be confident, or at least with a good amounts of time. I see that there may be more things. Yeah, I will let it to you, Christine, if there is something interesting, because I will be very slow reader right now. And yeah, so I think this will be one of the last positions.
Yeah, the
Again,
other thing you always point out to me, though, Zizi, is that white has no builders to try to build this board very quickly.
Well, nobody does. Again, well, it will be basically part of those stories, right? Here, whatever happens, it's gonna basically remain kind of the same position. If white gets lucky, he will still have a lot of work. If white gets unlucky, well, he just got unlucky, but he still has a chance. So it's like kind of a borderline between those two. It's also less volatile. All right, I think two more. So again, this position, what do you think about this one? Would you have taken? Would you have dropped? So blue is cubing for sure. Again, he's got the power. He's definitely got market losers. He can annihilate opponent very easily. Now, would you have taken as white? Because this is definitely dangerous position, right? And again, if we look at it from Pratt or race threats position, race, blue's got the race. Position, well, it's kind of the same, but I would say that even blue's got a little bit better position. And threats, well, they're huge threats, right? So again, this wouldn't tell you that much. So how to analyze it? Focus on what's going to happen. Focus on if white gets lucky, how it will look like. Focus on if white gets unlucky, how it will look like. So let's see. Drop take. Okay, 50-50. Okay, that's easy. And indeed, it's a small take. Well, not super small, but kind of a small take. So let's analyze it and let's be confident about this one as well. What can we expect from blue? We always start with that. Blue will probably hit the checker on the 7 point, right? Now, if white gets lucky, what would that mean? Well, that means that he enters 1 checker, 2 checkers, he rolls a double. White can also get lucky that blue will miss somehow, yeah, like 5-4. Then again, he's got so much power in the row. So white will probably do that. White will probably, again, we can see, he will enter, he will anchor, he will not be under pressure. Even if he gets unlucky and doesn't enter both checkers immediately, maybe if he dances it's bad. But even if white gets unlucky somehow, he will definitely have a second chance. He will definitely have backdoor chances. He will most likely anchor anyway. It's not like he's under immediate pressure. So again, this is how we can see that it's a take. Immediate pressure and how much power will white have in the row. As long as it's there, as long as you can see the power, feel the power, it's a good take. Once you see being in danger, doubts about losing the gammon immediately, that's the other side. That would be a pass. Okay, oops. This is the last position. So I would again like to ask somebody to tell me about this position. What will happen if white gets lucky? What will happen if white gets unlucky? Anybody who would like to try this? 9 checkers in the zone. Okay, maybe I'll just go back. Okay, by the way, one good point. So, okay, yes, 9 checkers in the zone. So generally speaking, we can have 8 checkers, 9 checkers, or 10 checkers in the zone. It's most common variation. And yes, that definitely is a good part. And it kinda, the more checkers in the zone, the better, of course. And it's something, again, what you will feel. It's something what you will feel. If there was 10 checkers in the zone, you would feel that it would get way more dangerous, and that would be a pass. But I want to point out one thing. It's not a rule, because you always want to check the right future. Sometimes even with 10 checkers, you don't want to say something like, with 10 checkers in the zone, it would always be a pass. Okay, that's not the case, but it's a good guidance to look at. Yeah. Okay, unlucky dance. Yes, very good. So yeah, so we've got already good, perfect. So we've got already a comment. What does it mean when we get lucky and unlucky? Very nicely defined. And yes, indeed, white will get lucky if he anchors. That's an amazing game immediately, which is already a sign of a take story. Unlucky dance, definitely. If white dances, there will be another chances, because it's not like blue's got way more checkers here that he will just close us out immediately. So that means, again, part of the take story, and that's gonna be a take. So very nicely defined. As we can see, as to summarize, this is what worked. We only need to define what it means to get lucky and unlucky, right? Lucky, making the anchor, sign of a take. Unlucky, dancing. We know that we will have another chance, either to anchor or to hit. If there was a case that blue would have maybe 2 or 3 more builders in the zone, that would mean that if we get unlucky, then we would be like that. Of course, that would change everything. That would change the story, and it would be most likely close to a pass. But in this position, even though it looks very scary, even though blue's got race, blue's got position, blue's got threats, we can see it's a take. And again, this is basically why I don't like to use spread, because it just doesn't work and it doesn't tell you the right thing. What I would like to show you is being open to all the positions, all the possibilities, having the right mindset of how to think into the future and how to work with it, what each thing means.
I'd like you to show the past story slide again, if you would.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the past story, yeah. So past story as a shortcut, either what I use in my lessons, we need to get lucky twice. If you need to get lucky twice, just drop it, because generally speaking, if you want to win the game, getting lucky once is already difficult, right? Getting lucky twice, well, it's not going to happen too often. Yes. So yeah. So as long as you cannot afford to get unlucky in the next row, as long as you would feel under huge pressure in case you miss or in case you don't enter, and it would be a big problem, you don't want to play that position. You better want to pass. In case you've got backdoor chances if you dance, if you don't feel that pressure, if you can just enter next row, that's okay. You can just take. So I know there was a lot of comments. Thank you very much for them. Is there anything, Christine, what I should still answer?
Yeah, there are a couple things. Okay, so is there a story-based approach for the offering, not offering of the cube as well? In other words, you've really done to the response to the cube. Is there anything you can walk through in terms of when to give the cube?
So as I mentioned at the beginning, in these blitz, volatile, scary positions, generally speaking, it will be a cube. There is something like a story in like all other positions. As I mentioned, when you want to compare, really compare the reasons to cube, you want to have a lot of reasons and big reasons. What it means? Well, you want to have a lot of market losers and you want them to be a big one, right? The more you have, the bigger ones you have, the better. What do you compare it to with? You compare it to what bad things can happen. How can it swing the game to the other side that it's going to be a no double? Okay. So this is basically as simple as I can mention it and say.
All right, and then another good question is luck and bad luck are based on the probabilities of the rolls. How much do you think you should be calculating when you're playing in order to decide what is luck and what is bad luck?
Good question. So again, this is why I like the stories, why I like the feeling, why I like looking into the future. Basically, there you can definitely be counting so many things and have a paper and just write every single thing and so on. But generally speaking, backgammon is beautiful because generally it will have 2 or 3 categories as you can balance it out. When you imagine the dice distribution, you will have very good rolls, then you will have most common rolls like good rolls, bad rolls, it depends on the position, and then you will have like unlucky rolls. Most of the time, you will have something like these 2 or 3 categories of what can happen and how they will change the game. So I wouldn't say that you really need to count it. You just want to learn the right approach, how to put it into categories and how to just summarize it so you make like shortcuts. Yeah, let's just be lazy and let's just make it like categories and not just count every single thing. Of course, if I should explain like mathematically, of course there's like all the equities behind all this. You made like weighted average and so on, but that's not what we need to do, because also, as mentioned at the beginning, you can have like 52% which is a cube, 72% which is not a cube. We are interested in what position represents, what threats does it have to you, and what can happen, what potential it has. So that's the important part.
So I'd like to mention at this time also that in 2 matches that Mary and I played when we were playing in a tournament, they are up on the Backgammon Winning Women's YouTube channel, and he walks through the entire match and gives such good advice where he talks about that feeling, but he also then sort of walks through running numbers during a match. So to answer that question about numbers versus, approach, you might want to watch one of those videos.
Yes. So I'd like to, I will definitely have some space for questions if you want to ask. Just one thing what I would like to say, this was basically one of the part of the videos from the video courses what I created. In total, I created 4 video courses where I basically, at the beginning, I would take any intermediate, any beginner player, and with all the courses, with 4 courses, I would give them basically knowledge of what they need to become a world-class player. So there are 4 courses: intermediate, advanced, world class, and the last one, where there's of course stake story and a pass story, cube action video course, where I've basically covered 90% of the cube action in 5 hours in 18 videos. So there's like all kinds of topics like we've covered today.
And we put that website up in the comments section for you now. So you can go into the comments section and pull out the website to be able to go and take advantage of these video courses.
Yes. So I'd like to thank everyone for attention, and I'm happy if somebody has a question so I could answer, or if somebody wants to say something, it would be very nice. Yes, Darin? Oh, it's clapping, not a building hand. Okay.
Yeah, it was clapping. Sorry.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. So thank you, Christine. Thank you, Karen, for organizing this. It was my pleasure. And thank you so much, everybody, for coming. And well, hope to see you somewhere in the world next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen's gonna wrap up.
Bye.
Zizi, thank you so much for this. As Christine mentioned, both of us benefit from Zizi's lessons, but I particularly like his courses. For years, I've wanted videos that present a structured curriculum for learning the basics of backgammon, and now we have them with his 4 video courses, the intermediate, advanced, and world class, and now his new course on the cube action. You can view them multiple times, review them until what I think of you internalize the basics. But then I also take lessons from CC, and we can use our lesson time to focus on the blunders that I've made just a few days ago in some important match, and ZZ clusters those errors, those mistakes by category, so I can drive home again what I'm doing wrong, either forgetting, not doubling soon enough, or doubling too soon, or doubling too good. So many thanks, ZZ, not only for this wonderful presentation, but making these resources available to help all of us improve our game, and also being available as a coach to help us with our particular areas of weaknesses. And then I finally, for cheering us on and watching our progress and applauding when we begin to improve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Karen, for such nice words. Thank you very much.
Goodbye, everybody.